Okay, so it's lesson 5, part 3, and we've done a fair bit of customizing of our pet store. We've kind of personalized the look. We've added the ability to upload and display photos. We will need a logo. So here's what I am offering, and you have until next week's class if you want to participate. I will offer 1 bonus percent on the final grade. Somebody would like to create, you can create and email me your best logo. Should probably use the color scheme that we've developed here. And if you email it to me by next week's class, next week in class, we can have a vote. And whoever's logo is the most popular, I will add it to the project and you will get 1 bonus percent in the course. So totally optional, you don't have to participate. But if you want to create a logo, a Positive Pets logo, email it to me for next week and we'll include it. So I've been pushing my stuff up to GitHub. What I'm going to do, I need to create a README file for my repository. It's part of the requirement for the assignment. And then I'm going to upload this, push this to Azure. So in my Solution Explorer, right in the root under Solution, I'm going to right click and I'm going to add a new item. It'll just be a text file, which I will call readme.md. Yep, I know. You could try and use a logo. There's some free logo makers that help you. So I've got readme.md. So I'm going to put on here a description. Site was built using .NET 4, 5, fall semester on Thursdays in COMP2084 at Georgia College. It is also deployed to Microsoft Azure. They're just putting a little description in of what our website is. I'll make a new commit to GitHub. And by putting this file right in the root of the solution, not in the web project, but in the solution folder, it'll then show up here when I reload my repository. So go to Git changes, L5, create, readme. I'll push those changes, save them and push. And now if I refresh, the README document shows up here. So you should have a README document in your assignment. So now I'm going to deploy the website to Azure. I'm going to go to the Azure portal. Now, I do not recommend you put your pet store on Azure. You should only be putting your assignment on Azure, and this is to make most efficient use of your Azure credits. So your pet store, you can just run it locally. I'm going to publish mine so that you can see how to publish your assignment. So I'm going to create a resource, and I'm going to create a web app. So under web app, I'll click create. It wants my subscription, which will be Azure for Students. It's trying to load my resource groups. which doesn't seem to be working right now, so I'll give it a minute. Okay, so I'm going to use my Thursday, fall 21. So this is the resource group where my database already resides. I'm going to give it a name. Pets, and it will be a subdomain of .azurewebsites.net. I'm publishing from code. We're not using Docker containers. And my runtime stack will be .NET 5. We're going to run it on Windows. And I want to make sure that I'm running on the free shared plan 1 gigabyte. I can click the next button here. And this will take me to deployment. And this is going to allow me to connect my GitHub repository to the website. Portal's not being very cooperative today. I'm going to enable continuous deployment. And now you may have to choose GitHub here. I'm already signed into GitHub. It's already got my GitHub name. So you may have to sign in here. And again, you don't have to do this right this minute. I'm recording this so you can follow along in your assignment later. So I'll pick my in front of the net account. And now I can go and find somewhere in here. Here's my positive pets repository. So I'm going to connect my positive pets repository master branch up to this website. I'll just click next. I think I can actually just click review and create here. I didn't really need any other settings. I just want to create the website and connect it to my repository. Azure Portal is not usually this slow, but it is what it is. I'll just have to wait for it. And I'll just click. I can say no. I don't care about the application insights. I'll just click review and create. So I'm in the free SKU. It's going to create a new website. And then it's going to sync my code from the Git repository. So every time I push changes to GitHub now, Azure will automatically sync and go fetch the latest commit so I can make updates. So I don't have to use an FTP client like FileZilla, like we did in our PHP class. All I have to do is push my changes to GitHub and my web application is going to be updated. Now this will take a couple minutes to run. So we'll just let this go. Shouldn't be this slow. I'm not quite sure why it's so slow. Okay, and now I can just click create. So it's finally setting up the website, and it's going to try to sync with my Git repository. So you can see this is running. It does take a couple minutes for the initial deployment. It's got to build the website. It's got to reach over to GitHub, pull across a copy of the code, and deploy it all. So I'll let this run. All we can really do is wait for it. It's not super fast, but today it seems to be slower than usual. Yes, Colton, only for your assignment. You don't need to put the pet store on Azure. In fact, I recommend you don't, because you'll burn through your Azure credits pretty fast if you are running more than just the assignment. Okay, so it's telling me it's deploying the site. One of the other nice things about this is if we're pushing changes to GitHub and updating our website, Azure will keep a deployment history. So if we push a new change and we break our site, we can just go and click on one of the earlier versions and it will redeploy an earlier version. So we can quickly revert to an earlier version of the website if we try to change something and break it. When we use FTP, once we overwrite the files on the web server, the old files are gone. So it says deployment is complete. I can go to our website. So there's all kinds of useful website management tools and administration tools here. Most of them are really beyond the scope of our course, but we can kind of see what's here as the deployment runs. So we can control who has access. We can set up security. We can take backups. We can enable SSL certificates. We can set up metrics alerts. We want to monitor the site. Yeah, it's not usually this slow. So far, no requests, no errors. We can monitor for errors. We can also stop the server, which once I mark your assignment, you'll want to temporarily stop your server. So now I'm going to try to browse the website. Let's see. If I click on browse, let's see if it loads my, okay, we get this startup page. It says your service is running, but now we need to deploy the code. I think the deployment just hasn't run yet. So if I go to the deployment center, it hasn't actually synced my code from GitHub yet. So like I said, it's a little bit of a process. It should be fetching my code from GitHub. I would have expected it would have been done already. But I guess we'll see what the status is of the Git synchronization once this page finishes loading. I have no idea why it's so painfully slow today. It's not usually fast, but it's not like this. So we can see the source code is from GitHub. We're using the .NET 5 runtime. I'm signed in as in front of the net. I'm linked to my Positive pets repository. So all this is correct. Okay. So if I go to the logs, we can see it says this deployment is active now. So now if I go back and refresh, my positive pet site should load. So now I can load it. So now my site's deployed, it's connecting to the database. I could go in and add. And I can add record, shows my placeholder, etc., etc. So everything's working. So for your assignment, you will want to deploy it through GitHub in the same way. You're going to create a web application and deploy it from your Git repository. So anytime I make a change now, I'll just add one change. This is the final thing I'm going to do. I'll add one more change maybe to the site homepage. Let's see. So in home and index. So let's say, actually, I'll just change. I'll say, oops. I'll say ASP.NET Core. I'll add MVC. So I'll just add that one little change. And now when I push to GitHub a minute later, we'll see the update on Azure as well. So let's see, 5, last change, update homepage contents. So I'll push this change to GitHub. I'll say pull then push. Because Azure added a few configuration files to my repository. So I've pushed my change to GitHub now. Right, we can see update homepage content. And now if I refresh my deployment, you can see it's now automatically deploying my new version. So once this is finished, I'm going to see a new version is active, and this original version won't say active anymore. So right now, here's the old homepage message. Once the deployment finishes, we'll see the word MVC in here. But it will take a minute or two to finish that update. And then we're going to call it a day. So basically, we're updating GitHub and Azure with one push. We don't have to update them separately. We update GitHub and Azure will automatically get updated. Now we also have the ability to use FTP. You could go and create an FTP login and use FileZilla or CyberDuck, but deploying through GitHub is much more efficient. But you can see it does take a little bit of time for that deployment. If you cancel it, then the original deployment will just stay, so the site won't update. So if you cancel it, it won't sync. At least it won't sync right now. It'll stop. Just curious how long this will take. Again, normally it runs faster than this. It's still going. I expected it would have been finished already. Because we're at about 3 minutes and counting. So this log also gives us a history of all the changes that we've made to the live website. Okay, so now it's finished. So now the new version is active. Notice the original version no longer says active. So if I go back here and refresh, we should now have the word MVC. And the first load after the new deployment, notice it's a bit slow. And now we've got our change. So when I push those changes to GitHub, Azure will automatically load them. Just takes a few minutes until that process is done. Okay, so everything that we need is done. It's up on Azure. So you have everything you need for your assignment. Have office hours next Tuesday morning. You're also free to email me as you work on your assignment if you need help. So that's all for this week. I will stick around and answer questions if there are any. I know, Fatima, you wanted to chat. Otherwise, I hope you all have a great long weekend. Get some time off your computers. Good luck with your assignments, and I'll see you next week.